up, guys? Jamie here, and welcome to episode 10 of No Turning Back. I am wearing my Y25J shirt for my co-host, but before I introduce him, we have a lot to talk about on this episode, so we are planning on doing a Q&A for this episode simply because it's the Big 10th episode, but because we have so much to talk about, we might not be able to fit all of it on here. We will answer your questions. We have your questions, but we might not be able to answer them on this episode. Probably next episode if we don't get it this episode. But just don't worry, we will get your questions answered. And as always, I am here with my co-host. Would you like to say anything?
Hi everybody. If I look like I'm spaced out right now, it's because I'm getting ready to tweet out the live link so we can tell you all that we're here. But hello. Good to be with you as always. Hard to believe it's been 10 episodes as already for this, and I can't believe that WWE did what they did. I mean, two pay-per-views in the span of only 2 days in between the two pay-per-views. That's nuts. So yeah, so much to talk about this week. And I wanted to quickly point out that you are going to unfortunately be busy at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. So we are not going to be able to watch TakeOver London until Thursday morning. So we're going to have to go on a self-imposed Twitter blackout. So if you want to know our opinions on the pay-per-view, or if you're talking to us during TakeOver, that's why we're not answering you, because we're specifically trying to avoid spoilers, because we do not want them, because then there would be no point in watching the show. So
yep. So we're gonna talk about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT predictions, and then TLC predictions. And if we have time, we're going to do the Q&A. So anyway, getting down to Raw. Raw was there was some okay things to it, but I don't really remember, probably very sad, but I don't remember too much of what happened because there was nothing really to remember. But what I do remember is the factions that were all together in a tag team or, a big match. And as much as I loved a lot of the talents and as much as I loved that they were using the talents, there was just kind of some people just thrown together. Like the Wyatt family is supposed to be more than two people. The League of Nations is supposed to be more than two people. But you just kind of threw some tag teams together. Like Roman and Dean are a pair, obviously, and the Usos are a pair. And then you just threw them together. And then sometimes big matches can be good. But I feel like when it's a big match, it's just, there's too much to pay attention to, and then it just becomes too overwhelming. And I guess the word to use would be a clusterfuck, because there was just so much going on, and there was just too many people. And when too many people are in the ring, it's not interesting, and everybody is just going at it, and there's too much to pay attention to, and I don't really like too much of big matches, but it would have kind of made more sense if it was like, two factions together or a couple of tag teams, 3 tag teams facing each other. But it was just a huge group of people all thrown together, and that's what I didn't like. But anyway, what would you like to say about Raw, since there wasn't really anything too exciting?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like both Raw and SmackDown in particular this week was just literally a repeat of Raw. Like, I'm not kidding.
SmackDown's always a repeat, but I guess especially this week, because I never really watched SmackDown. So.
Yeah, but like every match you saw on SmackDown, you already saw the same confrontation in some shape or form on Raw already this week. So it's what TLC feels like, and again, sorry if my eyes space out. I'm a very slow typer, but I'm almost ready to tweet the link out. But yes, anyway, what I was saying was that it just, TLC to me feels like it's a situation where it's going to be a good show, maybe even a really great show because of the talent involved in it and the matches that they're gonna put on. But like, there's nothing.
No build.
Yeah, no build. Exactly. That's the terminology I was looking for. Thank you. There's no build to it. There's nothing to invest you in what's going on storyline wise. It's like you're watching this pay-per-view because you are a wrestling fan for no other reason. Unlike NXT TakeOver, which, my God, the build for that has been so good. But we'll get to that later on.
It almost doesn't even feel like TLC is tonight. I totally forgot about it because there's no build. Because they just really didn't do anything to make us invested or into TLC. It's kind of just there this week. And the build is, like we were saying for the terminology, isn't great. And as much as they have the talent there, they just don't have the booking or the build to the pay-per-view at all. So it's a shame because you really could put on a good pay-per-view. And TLC, not the actual pay-per-view, but the matches of TLC are supposed to be good matches. But since there's no booking or storyline or build, it's very bland at this point.
Exactly. All right, I am hitting the tweet button. The tweet button has been hit, so we're good. But yeah, I there's not a whole lot more that I can add to that. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I guess the real kind of unexpected thing was Rhino being added to Team ECW, but then again, it's not really that unexpected because Rhino was already under contract with WWE, so it's not like they have to.
But I guess the only terms of a good thing is that a good talent was actually added to the roster and added to a faction. But then again, it's like everyone's kind of thrown together and there's too many factions right now. Tag teams need to be tag teams, factions need to be factions.
Yeah. You know? And they did do a good step this week, though. And at least it looks like Alberto Del Rio and Zeb Coulter split, which we said last week that it made no sense for them to be together because Del Rio was in League of Nations now. So they did make a good step in that direction. But the most interesting thing, I mean, it feels like these shows are a broken record, but it's just the truth. The most interesting thing, storyline-wise right now, continues to be Charlotte and Paige.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, besides seeing some of the talent, which is one good thing about WWE, I'm glad that so much talent is actually on Raw. And the other good thing about Raw is the Divas, or the women's wrestlers. You know, normally that would be like the bottom of the list with the Divas, or, you know, what's good about Raw. But those are like the only two things that WWE has going for them, especially the girls.
I mean, I love the Wyatts. You love the Wyatts, but with this feud with Team ECW, it's like so obvious that the Wyatts are going to win this match. So there's really no reason to be invested in it, other than the fact that it is TLC, and because it is the ECW alumnus, there's going to be craziness involved in it.
Yeah, especially because of the ECW aspect, because of TLC, and because the Wyatt family is just great too. So
yeah, but the whole problem, again, we sound like a broken record, but the whole problem is just creative makes it impossible to be invested in it. They're not writing good storylines.
They have the talent there. It's just they're not going in a direction. They don't have anything in their storylines.
Yeah. But, you know, Charlotte continues to walk that line between heel and face, and she's playing the gray area beautifully, you know, and they keep teasing maybe a feud between Charlotte and Becky at some point, which I would love, you know, because I'm all about the Becky Lynch. But, you know, that continues to be the strongest thing, I think, right now. So I think we could probably safely get into, I mean, I know it's early, but it's probably good because we want to do the Q&A at the end. I think it's safe to maybe get into, we still have to talk about, there was one other NXT show before TakeOver London, and it was a really strong show, you know, Asuka dominated. The main event was great. The main event tag team match was great. I mean, Joe, when he hit the Katina clutch on Finn Balor in the main event tag match, Finn actually had spit coming from his mouth. Like, he was foaming from the mouth. I mean, they sold that so well. And NXT was just beautiful. The only thing I didn't like was the whole, like, Dana Brooke thing, with Dana Brooke's hair being silver gray now. Like,
we were saying this yesterday. She looks like an old woman with gray hair. I don't know what it is lately, but for some reason this is the new fad. So many people, young people or young adults or like adults in their 30s, are dyeing their hair gray. Which, I mean, it's your hair and it's your preference, but I just don't see why you would want to dye your hair gray. You're going to have gray hair when you're old anyway. That's just me. She just looks weird with gray hair. But, I mean, if that's what she wants, go for it.
Yeah. But, I mean, overall, NXT continues to be the strongest show on TV, and they build up the storylines perfectly. I mean, everything...
the booking's there, the storyline's there, the characters are there. They all have a direction to go in.
I mean, even right from the very beginning, because Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy soft opened up the show, and they got, in the terminology that we like to use as friends, they got so worked up in their promo when they were...
Oh, yeah, they were real into it. They were hysterical when they were up there.
Yeah.
But that's what I like in promos, too. You got to give emotion. You can't just be bland when you're up there. Got to give something.
Yeah, so TakeOver is going to be a phenomenal show. So unless there's anything else you want to add, you want to just get into talking about the matches and the way we see they're going to go at the two shows?
Other than NXT is fantastic, and it's hard to believe that Raw and SmackDown are the same company as NXT. You almost think NXT is a completely different company, but it's literally a part of WWE.
Because it feels that way. It feels like an independent promotion with a good TV deal.
But it's not. It's a part of the same company. And just think, if the booking was there for Raw and SmackDown, could you imagine the level we have NXT? Could you imagine what it could be on the main level for Raw and SmackDown if they actually put the effort in? But anyway, we can just go down to the matches because we could be here forever talking about how amazing NXT is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, and we're going to be talking a lot about that next weekend when we have the TakeOver London to review. So.
Right.
So.
All right, so we want to get down to the matches for NXT. So you can start that off.
Well, no, we should do TLC first because NXT.
You want to do TLC first? Okay, we'll do TLC first.
Because TLC
so would you like me to
NXT
say the match? True. All right, so we're gonna get to the matches after TLC, but first match of TLC. I mean, these aren't in any particular order. That's just what I see on my screen right now. Sorry if you hear or hear some clicking. But do you have a specific order you want to go in?
Let's just do whatever on WWE.com. Because
the first match that they're posting is Sheamus versus Roman Reigns.
I am in the belief right now, unfortunately, that Sheamus is going to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship simply because
League of Nations.
Yeah, League of Nations for one, and another is that Wrestling 101, like, if you've been watching wrestling forever, like we have, you learn as longtime fans that if an individual looks strong on TV in a feud, then that means the other individual.
Yeah. If they go out winning in the show that's supposed to sell the pay-per-view, then it's probably their opponent that's going to win.
Yeah, and Roman Reigns has had back-to-back shows on Raw and SmackDown where he's looked really strong against Sheamus. So,
and before this Raw, we were talking about, do we think Sheamus is going to retain? But I was like, well, I think we have to wait and see because we don't have everything laid out right now. And now, because they have League of Nations and because of the way they've kind of booked it, I could see them still, unfortunately, keeping Sheamus over. Originally, I thought, since they were high on Roman, I thought maybe that they were just doing this to just get rid of the the Money in the Bank because they knew that they screwed up on that and they didn't really want to give it to Sheamus. But just to get rid of it, they are giving it. My brother's snapping. I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. And I just really lost my train of thought, and I was really trying to talk loud, so I didn't hear that in the background. But originally, I thought that Sheamus was just going to lose it at TLC because we didn't have everything laid out. And I thought that because they knew that they screwed up on giving Sheamus the Money in the Bank. And he's had it for so long before he won the title. I thought Roman was going to win. Sheamus was just going to have it just for that filler. And then Roman would win just as a way just to get rid of Money in the Bank. But I think Sheamus now is going to retain. Would you like to add anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Other than the fact that, from an outside perspective, which I don't like to talk about because I would like to think WWE is better than this, but there is the fact that Sheamus is going to be playing a part in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 movie. So I think that that's also a reason why he's getting a big
Publicity.
Publicity. Yeah. So.
And I think they're trying to give him character because none of us really care about him at all.
Yeah, and him being the leader of a heel faction definitely does allow him to come out of his shell and do more with his promos. And he has been doing this.
And you can do more when you're a heel. I mean, I don't enjoy him either way, but you can do more as a heel than you can face.
Yeah, I just don't particularly like him as champion just simply because I think he has to work too hard to get over. Whereas there's a lot of guys on the roster that just instantly get over, which we'll talk about.
Oh, definitely. There's some wrestlers that just could stand there and we're totally into them.
Yeah.
But anyway, would you like to add anything else before I go to the next match?
Next match.
Okay, so I love both of these wrestlers very much. So the Intercontinental Championship match, Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, who are both very talented wrestlers and who are both completely over right now.
Yeah, here we go. This is definitely going to be the most fun one to talk about. But do you want to go first? Because I went first on last.
No, you could go first. It's okay.
Okay. Well, as Jamie was saying, you can't go wrong with either one of these guys. And if either one of these guys was champion, I would be a very happy person. But everybody knows that besides Jericho, who is my all-time favorite, Kevin Owens has been my favorite since the first time I ever saw him wrestle. Like almost 10, 15 years ago on the indie scene now. So I love everything about Kevin Owens. I am going to buy Kevin Owens gear, or maybe certain Santa will give me Kevin Owens gear for Christmas, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I love everything about Owens, and I just particularly don't want Owens to lose right now because I think because he got sick and he had to go off of TV for a while, he kind of needs to continue to be champion to not lose the momentum that he has with what little momentum he does have, because we talked about this too. They just are not booking him the strongest right now on the main roster compared to where he was in NXT. I think Ambrose is a guy that can remain over without the title. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Owens retaining. But if Dean wins, I'm not
going to. But I wouldn't mind if Dean won either because I love both of them very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to say, which I think I would just be repeating what you said, but I think Kevin Owens is going to retain simply because I can't see him not just giving the title up. And also, with Dean Ambrose, he's already so over, it kind of just doesn't matter if he loses or not. Even if he loses, the fans are still going to adore him. But even if he wins, I would be happy too. But I just think Kevin will still retain.
Yeah, and I also want to add that other than the tag team title match, which is always insane because you throw all those 6 athletic guys in there with a ladder involved, that's going to be insane. But other than that match, I firmly believe that this match between Ambrose and Owens is going to be the steel shower. I think this could be match of the night.
Oh yeah, they both are very, very insanely talented wrestlers. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if Kevin retained or if Dean won, but I think at the same time Kevin should retain. But I mean, I love them both, so I don't really care as long as they have a good match, which they probably will anyway. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so the next match is the WWE Tag Team Championship match, triple threat ladder match. You were just adding on to that before this match, but
it's gonna be
the Luchadors, Usos, and why can't I think of their name? The New Day. Brain fart. The New Day.
I don't want New Day to lose, but I could totally see Usos winning the tag team championship just because they need it. They need a way to be relevant again. They were gone from the crowd for a while. They need something to remain hot and all that. And I believe
I could still see New Day holding the titles for a while, though.
Yeah.
Even after this pay-per-view. Like, I still could see them retaining and still holding on to the title simply because they have so much momentum. But Usos are so relevant, too. And like you were saying, they need somewhere to go. And when they came back, they're still over. So to make them more relevant, that would be good for them, too. But I want the New Day to win because I love the New Day. So...
Yeah.
Sorry for the background noise. We're live, and there's always something when we have a live show. Like my brother was like slamming up here. I don't know if you heard that before. We always have some sort of interruptions, but we're live. It's not a big deal. But anyway,
and
sorry about that.
To be fair, I'm not usually recording at lunchtime either. My dad was just giving me lunch. So
yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. If we have an interruption. Sorry about that. We can't do anything when it's live. But anyway, I don't really care about the Luchadors, no offense. They have some great tag teams right now in WWE, and they really improved their tag teams because for a while the tag team division was awful. But I really love New Day, and the Usos are cool that they're back, but I really, really just want New Day to retain because they probably will. But
yeah, I completely agree. I think New Day should retain, but I would not be surprised to see the Usos take it. I do think Lucha Dragons are very underrated. I love them in NXT, and they're great talents, and they're going to put on.
I think they're great high flyers, the way they're able to do moves. I don't think they're really that relevant.
I just don't see them champions right now just because they haven't been built enough to be believable as champions.
Yes, and they're not as popular, not as over with everybody. You know what I mean? They're not really as New Day or the Usos type of popularity,
Yeah, so consensus is New Day retains, but not shocked if Usos win titles.
Simply because they're high on Usos, too, and they want the crowd to be more over with them.
Exactly.
But next match... Oh, and it's a TLC match, or a ladders match.
Yes.
So that'll be really good because they're all high flyers too. So
exactly,
and they're always pretty talented.
Other than this match here, that's why I was saying this match here on paper will be the match of the night.
Yes, regardless of who really wins, though, the actual people in the match, and just simply because of the type of match, will just be great.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised at all if this is the kickoff match of the pay-per-view because it's going to have to be longer because you got more people in it, and they want the crowd to be hot right from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And people will go crazy for a ladder match.
Yeah.
And it just fits well with all of them, too, with high flyers.
Oh, absolutely.
So, next match, 8-man elimination tables match. Dudley's, Dreamer, and Rhino versus the Wyatt family, who I think are all very talented, by the way. I absolutely love the Wyatt family.
Oh, yeah. I love everybody in this match, even the 4 ECW veterans, but they only, in my opinion...
I love the aspect of that ECW with the TLC match, and then you have the Wyatt family, who are also phenomenal, too.
Oh, I agree with that. But I also think that they wanted this match because the Dudleys asked for this match. It's one of the things they asked for when they returned to WWE. They wanted to feud with the Wyatts, so they got what they wanted. But I also think they wanted that because they want to put the Wyatts over, and it just doesn't make, of all the opponents the Wyatts have had in like the last few months, this is the opponent that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever for them to lose to. If they lost to these four guys who have nothing left to prove in the business, then it would completely damage everything they've ever done.
Right. And going back to the Wyatts, they've been on the level of the Undertaker. Like, they've been wrestling with the Undertaker and Kane. Not that the Dudleys and Dreamer and Rhino aren't cool people, but they've been on wrestling with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And you benefit no matter what when you're with the Undertaker, so.
Absolutely. And that's why another match against established veterans is good for them, because they can keep that momentum. And unlike Undertaker and Kane, who you could argue that it would have damaged Undertaker and Kane for Taker not to win on his 25th anniversary last month, in this case, the younger guys have to win over the veterans, I believe.
Yeah. And like you said, they want to put them over anyway, so.
Yeah.
It's always good to pass the torch, but also getting back to what you said, I mean, they won simply because it was his 25 years, and you can't have him lose on his day. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter what Undertaker does. It's not going to damage him if he loses, because at this point in his career, he could stand there and it would be fine. And Undertaker's really there to put guys over at this point. Like, it's not going to damage Undertaker if he loses. So, well, he didn't lose, but if he were to, people would be mad simply because it's his 25 years, but at the same time, it would be to put over the Wyatts. But it's getting kind of off topic. But I could see the Wyatt family going over, even though every single person in this match is great.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the next match, the Divas match, Charlotte versus Paige, who are both amazing, especially
They're
Paige.
both amazing. It's just Paige doesn't need the title. I think Charlotte does need to keep the title right now to keep that momentum that she has built up as like one of the new faces of the division. So
I feel like she should hold the title for a while, and Paige is just Paige, so
yeah,
she's so over.
I think Charlotte holds it until they're ready to turn her fully heel and Sasha Banks fully face. That's my prediction. Is that Sasha Banks is the next?
Or whenever they decide that the feud's going to end, or they're going into another feud.
Yeah.
It probably will change after the Royal Rumble, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I
could see it changing after the Rumble, but until then, I see Charlotte holding on to the title.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Becky Lynch get the title, but I just don't see it at this point in time. So
I mean, I wouldn't mind if Paige won either, because she's so talented, but like you said, she doesn't need it. And there could be so many other feuds for her to go into, and I think that Charlotte should have a good title reign. I don't think she should be having it for a billion years, but I think she should have a decent title reign.
Yeah, and like I said, she's doing a great job of playing. At least I think I said this on air. I may have said this like before we started, so I apologize if I didn't say this yet. But I think Charlotte's doing beautiful with the whole gray area, like not quite being heel, but not quite being a face. Like, she's being perfect as a Flair. She's
like a tweener. Like a tweener.
Yeah, she's doing exactly what her dad used to do as a performer, and I think she's doing great with it. So, yeah, there's no reason at all for Charlotte not to retain here.
Yep. All righty. So,
yeah,
Ryback versus Rusev.
Rusev will win because they're high on him, and they really shouldn't be, but I don't want to spend another 20 minutes talking about why they shouldn't be, because we've already done that before.
They're both so boring. I really don't want to see this match at all. I don't like either of them. Don't like either of them, heel or face. The only reason why I want to see Rusev is for Lana, because Lana is queen, and I love her, and she's gorgeous, and I love her. I love her. I'm having a fangirl moment, but I love Lana, so I only really looking forward to seeing her. But I guess Rusev,
Yeah.
because they're high on him. I mean, they're also kind of high on Ryback too, but moreover, since he's Rusev has come back with Lana.
Yeah, and they're really high on Rusev right now because they put him in the League of Nations. They're not going to put him in the quote-unquote main event scene if they're not high on him.
Right,
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
But I don't like these two at all. I don't like them. They're boring. I
This
love Lana, but
this match is a match that, if they weren't so high on Rusev, would be better served for the pre-show aspect of the pay-per-view.
yeah, I was gonna say something like this would be a pre-show type of match because I'm pretty sure nobody really cares other than seeing Lana. I mean, I know that's why I want to see Rusev.
I mean,
but this is kind of how I feel like. I don't want to see it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and I think you agree, Rusev is a great talent. It's just his character does not fit with the current wrestling landscape. He feels, I've said this 100 times, but I don't know how else to say it. He feels like a character that belongs in 1980s, not 2015 or 16.
Yeah, you've said that on a lot of the episodes.
Yeah.
So.
But it's just the only way I know how to describe how I feel about Rusev. But yeah.
That's all the matches that they have on here, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that seems like it should have been more matches, but
like last pay-per-view, I think they'll just add some matches. They did that last pay-per-view too.
And plus the gimmick stipulations make it a more
longer than other matches.
Yeah, than what it will be on paper.
But also, that's what we said about. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry. Last pay-per-view, we said the same thing or one of the pay-per-views, we said, this doesn't seem like a lot of matches, but then matches went an hour for certain matches, and then other matches, they added at least one match.
They did add on SmackDown. I guess it's just not on the website yet for some reason, but they added on SmackDown United States Championship Del Rio versus Swagger. So there is that match.
Yes, they just didn't add that yet. But I'm saying, like, if it's not on here, they might add one or two. Yeah. But would you like to talk about that match?
Yeah, but that match is
relevant to SmackDown.
Yeah, that match is officially on the card now. I just don't know why it's not there with what you're looking at. But I got reminded of it before we went off of TLC because I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so yeah, Del Rio will retain his title. I mean, there's no reason whatsoever to give it to Swagger. Even if they put Swagger back with Coulter, that's not enough of an, oh my God, let's give him a championship. And they're really high.
I just see him retaining anyway, simply because Del Rio has such a momentum going. And they did promise him a big push, too, which he is getting.
Yes.
And he's already in the League of Nations. Why would you have him lose to someone who people don't really care about?
Yeah, exactly. So you've said everything that I could say about it. Del Rio retains the U.S. Championship. So I believe we're ready to move on to
the best thing in WWE right now. Yes. TakeOver NXT. So since I'm still learning, but I mean, I'm going to give my predictions anyway. You can take it over about NXT. I mean, I'll give my thoughts too, but you can start off.
Yeah, just remind me of like what the actual matches are, and then I'll talk.
I don't have the matches up.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. All right. Well.
Do you remember any of them?
I think I remember this card, but just to be safe, I'm probably going to go and pull it up as I'm talking.
All right. Actually, you talk, and I'll get it up.
All right. Well, while she's getting up the card, like we said before, the build to this pay-per-view has just been tremendous, and this entire card, everything about it, I love. And there's a lot of matches on this card that could be complete toss-ups. Like they could go either way, which is what's so awesome. TLC is very predictable, whereas TakeOver, you never know. You never know how they're gonna go. The only for sure matches I think are the two women's matches.
Okay, I think I have it up.
Yeah. All right. So we're good to go now.
So I think this is right. Apollo Cruz versus Baron Corbin.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Apollo will win this match because he is more than likely going to be around the main event scene, where Corbin is a guy that doesn't need the title because of the gimmick he has, and he could actually fit.
He just already has heel heat, so he's good.
Doesn't need a championship to get that heat, and I think they could easily pull the trigger if they wanted to bring Corbin to the main roster simply because of the kind of character that he is. So I completely see Apollo Crews going over in this match.
Yeah, Apollo Crews, simply because I think he'll be going on to other storylines in the main event scene. So
yeah.
So the next match is I keep saying her name wrong. I keep saying Oksana. That's not her name. Asuka versus Emma.
Asuka versus Emma is going to be one of the matches that actually probably steals the show. People forget how talented Emma is because when she was on the main roster, she had a horrible character, but she came back down to NXT as playing a tremendous heel. She's one of them.
Oh, these two wrestlers especially are so talented.
Yeah.
Especially Asuka.
This match is going to be unbelievable. Asuka will win it because Asuka
simply because she's Asuka, you know.
Yeah. Asuka, I'm gonna say this right now because it's too soon for Nia Jax. So I'm gonna make this prediction right now. When they're ready for Bayley to go to the main roster, when they think the storyline is there for her to be called up, Asuka will be the new NXT Women's Champion. I guarantee you.
That would be good. Could you imagine that? The two of them facing together.
Yeah, so
they're so freaking talented.
Yeah, so that feud will happen. It's just not happening yet. But yes, Asuka will beat Emma.
There's just so many talented divas. Like, it's amazing.
It's going to be a great
women's wrestler. I keep saying divas, women's wrestlers.
Yeah, it's going to be a great match, this match, but Asuka will win the match.
Yes, and they're so talented. Oh my goodness. So NXT is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dash and Dawson versus, how do you say his name?
Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, yeah.
Yeah.
So
NXT Tag Team Champions.
They
were worked up.
Yes, they were worked up in that promo. Like we were
it was a good promo, though, but they were worked up.
They were really worked up. But I would not be surprised to see Dawson. I got all stuff right there.
Dash and Dawson.
Sorry about that. I would not be surprised to see them retain, but I believe that they were transitional champions for Team Enzo and Cass, or Team Soft, whatever you want to call them. As AWFT Soft. But this is the last thing that team needs to do in NXT is be champions, because they've been a tag team for so long. They're so over. They get such crowd reaction. Like, the crowd pops for them. Like, they could come out wearing like ridiculous clothes and they would still get a pop. So they're just one of the most over things in NXT right now. So I think they finally win the titles at London.
I could see either, but based off of what you said, I would kind of want them to win too, because you said that's something that they need to do.
It's something they need to do, and I think that you could have them down for 2 or 3 more months in NXT with a nice title reign, and it would help them, because right now the main roster tag team scene is so crowded. So even though these guys deserve to be on the main roster because they've been down in NXT for so long, I think just give them the title, pull a Bayley, give them the title, reward them for how much they've carried NXT before you call them up.
Yes, I agree with that. And like you said, the main roster is very crowded, especially with the, tag team and then other factions up there. They had like 1 billion, like on Raw, they had like what? Like 6-7 factions all together in the same ring. Too many people. Yeah. As talented as they are, you don't want them to get overshadowed when they go up there, because there's so many people.
Yeah. So this match is a toss-up, but I think we're agreeing that Enzo and Cass could win it.
Yes.
But it's a toss-up.
Could be either or, but we're agreeing with that one.
Yes.
So Bayley versus Nia Jax, NXT Women's Championship. Bayley.
Bayley, we could talk about for 3 hours about just how
Oh my
awesome
gosh, I love
she is.
her. I love her. I just can't see Nia Jax yet because I don't think she's ready. As cool as she is, because she's not the typical diva, but Bayley, she's Bayley. Come on, she's gonna keep the title. She deserves to anyway.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, you said it all. There's nothing else I can add. So there you go.
Okay, so yeah, we're agreeing on Bayley.
Yeah.
All right, so Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, which is going to be a great match. They're both so talented, and I love Finn to death. Oh my goodness.
We just have to say this. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you've been dreaming about this match for like the last 5, 6, 7 years of your life. This is a match that people have been wanting to see for so freaking long.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm salivating over this match. I'm salivating over the way it's been built. The biggest problem is who wins it. Like,
yeah, that's what I was just to say. I was thinking about that yesterday, on my way home, or during school, or on my way somewhere from school. And I was just kind of thinking, oh, we're filming No Turning Back on Sunday because we were all busy yesterday, and well, today's Sunday. And I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know what to say for this match because it's like 50-50. I could see Finn winning simply because, to still carry the title, but then it's like it's Samoa Joe, and it's like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah. I think what the telltale is going to be is Joe will win it if they have something ready for Finn on the main roster. If they don't yet, then Finn retains.
Yes. Yeah, but I think maybe he will retain because, like we were saying, it's very crowded up there on the main roster right now. And as amazing as Finn is, we wouldn't want him to get overshadowed.
And
or
also,
you know how they treat people from NXT that go up to the main roster. They screw it up a lot. Well, not a lot of times, but they screw things up, and then they have to come back down.
Yeah, yeah. So don't do that with Finn too soon, absolutely. But the other thing is I think that this is a feud just like the Owens Zayn feud was, where you could easily get 2 or 3 matches out of it. So I don't think Joe needs to win it right now because it's a strong enough feud where it could keep going for a little while longer.
That's true. That's true. But I definitely can see Finn retaining if they're not ready, which I don't think he should, because you know how WWE is when they go to the main roster. And simply because this feud is great and could go a couple of more. And before we move on to anything else, I like to point out that I'm on a wrestling news site, and I completely agree with this sentence that's right underneath. They're giving their predictions in this article, and it said Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. This match, in all likelihood, will be a lot more entertaining than Sheamus versus Roman Reigns on Sunday. And I'm like, yes, I agree with that. And this whole pay-per-view will be better than the TLC pay-per-view. So
I completely agree. I mean, if it wasn't in the same week, like honestly, this is gonna sound really dumb, but in a way, it's not. This is the match that should be. Or this is the pay-per-view, that should be on the typical Sunday when you watch
the main roster.
When you watch a pay-per-view instead of in the middle of the week when barely anybody's going to be able to watch it live.
Yeah, even if you're not an adult, people are coming home at 2:00 from school.
Yeah, I mean, no
offense. Some kids don't even get out until 3:00.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for the people in London that they're finally getting a pay-per-view because they never do. But at the same time, it's like I don't know very many people that are going to be like live watching this show
at 2 p.m.,
which is a shame. But I'm going to go with Finn for all the reasons we said, because the feud could go longer, because they're not ready for him on the main roster, and because also what we mentioned about the other main event for TLC. Booking 101, Wrestling 101. Joe has had 3 or 4 straight weeks of looking very, very strong against Finn. And Finn needs his payback, and he's going to get it when it matters.
Yeah, and he, pulls through, and he's able to do perseverance and go over and be strong at the pay-per-view.
Exactly.
So, and that's usually how it is with anything. So if, you know, I don't know, making Neville is, you know, winning all through, you know, and the go home show, that usually means his opponent is probably gonna win. But we already said that with Wrestling 101.
Yes. So I for all those reasons, I'm picking Finn, but I'm not. This is the one thing. We've said this about a lot of matches, but this is the one match. If it doesn't go the way I predict, I will not be surprised whatsoever.
Nope.
So,
because NXT has that unpredictability factor, unlike the TLC pay-per-view.
yeah.
But before, go ahead.
Well, just real quickly before we can end it, or before we can get to the questions, the one thing that isn't a match that probably isn't advertised or talked about, just because it's going to be an appearance, and unless they decide to throw a random match on there, which they could do, but it's Sami Zayn returning.
Oh yeah!
To NXT,
oh my God.
Which
that's going to be exciting. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that very much.
Yeah, it's been so long since we've seen Sami. Sami was
he had that good match against Cena.
Yeah, and Sami was the face of NXT for so long, and it's just going to be tremendous to see him back. But it's one of those things. The NXT roster is so loaded right now, and I talked about this with our friend Alexman when he was here a couple of weeks ago. It's like, what do they do with Sami? Does he go right back to the championship picture? Does he go into feud with Corbin? Like, what are they?
There's so much for him to do.
There's so much for him to do, but it's like they make that decision and they're stuck with it for a while right now.
Right. I don't think he should maybe necessarily jump to the title right away. But, I mean, whatever they're going to have him do is going to be fantastic.
But it would make sense in the same breath because because of injury, he never got his rematch against Kevin Owens for the championship.
That's true. Well, you just kind of have to see where the storylines go before you just start throwing him into, storylines.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward.
Anyway, oh yeah, definitely.
Looking forward to seeing Sami, and I could see them kicking off the pay-per-view with this, like getting the crowd cheering for Sami to start the show.
Sure, they'll flip. They will flip. So, because I know you have your game in 10 minutes, right? It's on at 1.
Yes.
Do you want to still go to answering some of the questions?
We could. I could answer maybe.
Well, we'll answer.
A quick one.
Answer. Okay. Well, we'll answer like 2. So, we could be here all day. We could be here for days simply because this one that I'm filming with right now loves this wrestler to death. So, what is your favorite feuds with Y2J over the years in WWE?
You know what? If we can, I'll come back next week and go way more in depth on it, or I'll make them my own video because I know I say this every week, but there's plenty of wrestling videos coming on my solo channel. I've just been incredibly busy, but this is definitely one that could definitely be that kind of a thing. But the 2 matches with Shawn Michaels and the match with CM Punk is my very, very short answer with no explanation as to why or anything like that. But
I think we should actually save the questions for next week. It was nice answering one question, but since Roz has to go watch his game and I'm going to go do my schoolwork or at least study, we will actually do the Q&A next week. But anyway, would you like to add anything before we end the show?
Links in the description. No Turning Back Twitter in the description, so it'll be easier to send your question in because we'll both see that account. But you can. Yeah,
I mean, you can still comment anything down below, so that's fine.
You can still use our solo accounts as well. It doesn't matter. But we just wanted to do that for you guys. So all that in the description. And go Bengals! Who Dey beat the Steelers? Have a good study, and I will talk to you after. And everybody take it easy.
All right, bye. I'm hungry. I want lunch.